So here in my Azure subscription, I'm going to click into the Azure Automation account and into the inventory piece. And what we'll see is that Azure Automation is collecting information about files, software, Windows services, registry, Linux daemons from systems in my environment that are configured to track this information in Azure monitoring logs. Clicking into the change tracking piece, this is pretty cool. We can actually visualize changes that have happened in our environment. So we can see here I'm selecting files over the last 30 minutes, and we can see here that on a VM named Linux VM4, we had a file change on the host file. And not only can we detect that that change has happened, but we're actually collecting what the file change was. And we can see here that just I added some comments to that file. So that's pretty cool. We've collected this information. We've surfaced that a file has changed. But wouldn't it be cool if we could integrate this into Azure monitoring and kind of alert on file changes proactively without having to go search that out? So I'm going to jump into a Linux VM here real quick and make a file change. So now that we've changed a file, let's go ahead and jump into Azure Monitoring Logs and take a look at an example query that returns a list of VMs and the details about file changes of a specific file name. And when I run this query, you'll see that I've got a couple results here. I've been playing around with this for a little bit. And what's really cool is we can take this very exact same query and build an alert based off of this query. So I'm going to create a new alert. And for the criteria, I'm going to actually just take the exact same Azure Monitoring Logs query and drop it into this space right here. And I want to trigger this alert on any instance of this query that returns any results over 0. So for any machine where this file is changed, let's trigger this alert. And just filling out some of the alert details. Once this is done, the next thing we're going to do is create an action group. And what an action group is in Azure Monitoring is really just like the action that you want to take on an alert. There's a couple that are baked in. I'm just going to, for this demonstration, I'm just going to create an action group that triggers an email. What you'll see here is this is like super simple. There's really not much to configure. And we can see that just here I'm going to choose an action type of email. Give it the email address that I want to send the alert to. And that's really it. So really simple. I've got an Azure Monitoring Logs query that returns machines that have had a very specific file changed on it. I use that query to build an alert. I set up an action group to send an email. Complete a couple details as I'm building that alert, save it, and we're ready to go. And here we can see the completed alert and the action group. And finally, I did a little time manipulation there, but after a couple minutes, we're going to receive this email that basically indicates, hey, we've got this machine here, a file has been changed on it, here's that change. And then, just for completeness, let's jump back into Azure Automation and the change tracking system and just validate that we've actually seen that change come through and take a look at what those changes were. And there it is, Linux VM 0, the host.conf file, and there are the changes that I put in.